President Donald Trump now suggesting the U.S. should take a hands-off approach to the Israel-Hamas war. Here's what he said during an interview with Univision on Thursday when asked how America might help stop the civilian killings in Gaza.
So you have a war that's going on, and you're probably going to have to let this play out. You're probably going to have to let it play out because a lot of people are dying. There is no hatred like the Palestinian hatred of Israel and Jewish people, and probably the other way around also. I don't know, it's not as obvious, but probably that's it too.
All right, let's bring in CNN's Max Foster, who is live from London. Max, always wonderful to see you. Trump also said Israel needed to do a better job of public relations, and he pointed to this rash of pro-Palestinian protests in the U.S., and obviously earlier in all of this, he went after Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu for not being prepared. What is your sense of what's going on here?
I think that clip, if you move away from a lot of, how he says it and, specifically what he's saying and what he means, which is what I try to do with Donald Trump when it comes to international policy, at least, is pretty significant. What he's effectively saying is, he doesn't see... If we look back at his previous tenure as well and how he played that out and what he's saying here about this Middle East crisis, it's like he doesn't see America as that international policeman, which actually the rest of the world has relied on for decades and decades and decades. So focusing more on American problems, which a lot of Americans will relate to, but outside America, that does have a huge impact because you and I have spoken a lot about this new world order that China and Russia want to create. America pulling back from the international stage and saying they're not going to get involved in crises like the Middle East does create a vacuum, and you know who's going to step into that. So it has huge repercussions, that little soundbite for me when I look at it. And if he does get into power, we're going to see America less present on the international stage, certainly militarily, it seems.
Yeah, honestly, it's really, really interesting. I'm thinking about how Vladimir Putin is backing off of Israeli support for Israel that he previously had in the context of this. And Trump does have a way of picking up on things that are going on in the electorate and really putting his finger on things, as uncomfortable of a reality as that might be. He does have a really strong nose for it, and it's interesting to me that this is what he's picking up. Let's also, Max, talk about Nikki Haley, because in the Republican primary debate, she did seem to gain more ground there. She's sort of becoming the person who is first in the race for second place. But she did make this statement about Vivek Ramaswamy on the stage because the two of them really tangled. Take a look at what she said.
I am telling you, Putin and President Xi are salivating at the thought that someone like that could become president. They would love to see that.
What's your takeaway from there? I mean, what does the international community think, if anything? I mean, are these two known on the national stage? What's the impression?
Well, people that know about international policy certainly know about Nikki Haley. She is this sort of towering figure. She's got a lot of experience and certainly stands out in that sense in the lineup with all the other candidates. But if you're not into international policy, I don't think you necessarily know who she is. People aren't watching these debates in big numbers at all here because Donald Trump isn't involved, and they wonder why they're taking place, so they're not learning about her there. I think you really need to be looking at Ramaswamy if you're talking about international profile, because he is a big deal on TikTok. My kids will show me TikToks with him in them very regularly.
Are you serious?
And they never show me TikToks with Nikki Haley in. Let me just say that. I mean, in terms of profile, I would say he's the only person my kids and their friends will be able to pick out in that entire lineup, apart from Trump.
That is wild and extremely, extremely interesting. And, Vivek went after Nikki Haley's daughter over TikTok. So the fact that people overseas know him for being on TikTok, okay.
Well, it's not necessarily his own profile. I mean, it is that as well. It's also people just picking up clips from the debates, and they're always about him. And they're the ones that go viral over here.
I guess that is kind of what he set out to accomplish. All right, Max Foster, thank you as always, my friend. Have a great weekend.